Hello, welcome back to Liene Plans. I'm going to run through a July flip through today. I've had my Sterling Ink Basics Complete Planner inside this fabric cover from Charlie & Fox. I'll pop a link below. They're so beautiful, and I just love how it's got this elastic, and it you can sort of fit it on pretty much any book that you like just by slotting it in. So I've got mine in the 7 3/4 inch size, and it fits the basics, as you can see, really nicely. There's not too much give, and just enough to sort of feel like it's, I don't know, comfortable but not too snug as well. I think you can in some books sort of have that holding the back as well, but I tend to use it to actually close the whole thing. So yeah, to start off with, I will come through to my year in pixels. July was a really lovely month. I actually had 10 days of leave, and so it just meant that I could really spend some time looking after myself, and it's probably the most sixes that I managed to get in wellness for the whole year, which is brilliant. August has been a little tougher so far, but that's okay, doing our best. Coming through to the July quarter, because I was on holidays, I read copious amounts of books. I will say some of them were shorter books, but yeah, I don't know, I'm just going to count them anyway. I think I'm going to smash out my goal for the year, which was 150 books, given that I'm currently sitting on 110 in August. So I'm not too worried about the length of them. They're not all short, but July just happened to be. I just needed some bite-sized, nice, predictable, that kind of thing for my holidays. Yeah, I did have a few headaches throughout, but that's part and parcel for me. Some more actually. It did feel like a lot. Not as many as February, which was before I went and got my migraine management plan updated. Anyway, I'm going to flick through to July. So this is the monthly. As I've said before, this tends to be a bit of set and forget for me, and it really kind of was. I think I did add in a couple of the things that we planned through the school holidays that were larger events, but like we had a whole week away, which was full of fun things, and I didn't really mark it on here. I more captured that in the weeklies and dailies. So this is my July title page and highlights, and then my sermon notes down here. This is the first portion of the weekly that occurs in July. The boys actually finished school a little bit earlier than planned, just health-wise and getting things done. I'm really loving the Coffee Monsterz Co. Like the cleaning ones that came in the last subscription box. It's so fun. So here are my dailies for that first partial week. So this July started on a Wednesday. It was start of a financial year, the financial year here in Australia, and business-wise that meant a few things. I thought I'd been really on top of it, but there was a couple of things that I was chasing my tail on, but we got there anyway. 1st of July was also something called CAPA, which is the Creative and Performing Arts portion of the school curriculum, and my eldest was in 3 separate items. He did brilliantly on all of them. One of them he'd been practicing for, another one he stepped in on to cover somebody who wasn't able to make it, and then the third one was a little bit last minute as well. He just was asked to participate in the drum line. They did such a brilliant job. It was absolutely amazing. Thursday, I think it was that sort of final week of school before the boys were on school holidays for winter. And my eldest did go to school, and my youngest did some wrap up for his homeschool work. So that meant that we could have Friday off. I also had the really difficult conversation with my boys of the fact that our older Labrador was, she'd been struggling for a while, and we made the really hard decision to say goodbye to her in the holidays. Gave the boys a little bit of time to just spend with her and make it very, I guess, gentle as much as possible. They took it really well as you can. So you'll see that in the following week too. We had a really lovely interaction with some of my nephews who are getting into Pokemon cards. Super cute. We watched an ice hockey game. This is my team. They're doing really well this season, actually. It's such a pleasure to watch. But this day they actually had a teddy toss. They were playing a team called the Bears, and at the first Brave goal, they had organised for the attendees at their rink to do a teddy toss. I think they ended up with, I want to say it was over 2,000, maybe 2,100. I think I wrote it somewhere. Oh, there, on there, 1,204 teddies. In the end, which is amazing. And that was to gift to local children's charities and hospital wards as well. So this was the first week of school holidays. I was still working myself, and we had some exciting things like one of our biggest telecommunications companies in Australia go down, which made work interesting. I'm really glad it was on one of my face-to-face days and not a day where I work on the phones, because that would have made it really tricky. We had my youngest's bestie come and visit. He has been living in the US for 4 years now, I think, and they still sort of keep in touch a little bit, mostly when he comes out to visit. But yeah, so he came and they spent the day together. It was so lovely. They've got the sweetest friendship. I had two of my nephews come over for a sleepover here, and we had another nephew over here for the day here, and then one of my brother-in-law's family and his kids, different from these two branches, came over here. It was just a week for family. It was so lovely, and we really needed it around taking my beautiful Belle in for her appointment. We just really sort of enjoyed the day with her. This is my youngest and his bestie from overseas. I had a migraine. I really wasn't feeling great this week, to be honest. It was a really hard week. Okay. My eldest sprained his ankle on the trampoline too. He was playing up through most of the holidays, but he did well. Still a little bit post-romal. I just kept forgetting things and whatnot. This was the day that we said goodbye to beautiful Belle. It was really hard. She was such a good girl. These are some older photos, and these are older photos too. And these were actually on the day. Beautiful girl. We actually ended up, by the time we got home, I just was not up to anything, so we actually ordered some Italian and ate it at home and watched Project Hail Mary for the first time, which is really great. Just exactly what we needed. So I just was doing mindless cleaning for a lot of Saturday. Did a roast, not particularly my favourite, but just sort of ticking boxes and doing what other people like. This was 12th of July, so this would have been the Sunday before the second week of school holidays, and there was some soccer games that we watched. And then, yeah, that was the day that we had family over for lunch. It was so lovely. So yeah, second week of the holidays. My husband was actually on holidays for this week and I was still working, but I was trying to cram in some fun things anyway. So we went ice skating on the Monday. I hurt my knee. Took it a little slower for a couple of days. We went out for Indian here with my parents-in-law. That was super lovely. We went to the Sydney Olympic Aquatic Centre, which was one that they built ahead of the Sydney Olympics in 2000. They've got an amazing indoor water park, and it's so fun. And because it's all indoors and it's really well heated, you can kind of go in the middle of winter and it's comfortable. So we had a really good time. Youngest had a play date with his friend on the Saturday, and we went and had dinner with them that evening as well. So this was the day we went ice skating, and there's a photo of us at the rink. They've done it up since I was last there. They've done a beautiful job. It definitely made it a little bit more difficult because they've got the perspex around the outside, so it made it a lot harder to sort of hang on. But that's okay. It was a lot of fun. This was where I ended up with some knee pain. I had to strap it up. I just was using muscles I haven't for a long time. This was my last day at one of my 2 jobs before being on holidays. So nice. I was a little bit concerned about my knee, but it was, yeah, genuinely recovered just fine. We got some Subway for lunch. Yeah, got up to watch some football. It's a little bit of a tricky game to watch. We got some sushi for lunch. I have a rude word here and I cannot for the life of me remember why that is. I don't know why. I usually really like that job. I guess it is something that was, cathartically put down and never to be remembered. We went out for dinner this night to an Indian restaurant with my parents-in-law. My father-in-law was actually born in India, and so they always love to sort of share, beautiful restaurants when they find them. This is one of their favorites. We actually went there for his 70th birthday as well. So Friday was my last day before being on holidays, and it was a real push. As soon as I finished though, we essentially left for Sydney, which is a fair drive for us, and just really enjoyed it. It was so nice. It was a really nice physical break between work and holidays, and it was so nice to just feel with the skating and the swimming, just to feel like we were making use of holidays, even if I was still working. So the Saturday was my first real day of holidays. We did have some errands to run in the morning, and then I got to play and catch up a little bit in my planners because I had gotten a little bit behind just with that slog of that final week before being on holidays. And then we had dinner at a friend's place. It was so lovely. That was a lot of fun actually. Lovely bunch of people. Sunday came by. I was feeling quite fatigued. I hadn't really noticed that. I thought I'd balanced things quite well this term, but I really just was due for a break. And it's just been so lovely unwinding. So this was our week away. So fun. Oh, my eldest did have to do his year 12 final year of school subject selection before we went, and then we did a big long drive, checked into our place, and we actually went for a bit of a beach walk after that. And then we had various activities scheduled throughout the week until coming back on the Friday afternoon. This is some photos from our kayak tour. I think there's more in the dailies as well, but there were just so many great photos from it. So So this was the Monday. Yeah, so we checked in at our beach apartment and then went for a walk. And we went into the local town to get some fish and chips, which were amazing. It was so delicious. Like, they just had that right crisp of batter. It was amazing. I got some oysters as well, which are all locally grown, locally farmed, and they were delicious. Not everybody likes oysters, including pretty much the rest of my family. We bought a half dozen. They each ate one, and I got 3. So the next day we went to a local wildlife park, and the otters were my favorite. I'm a little bit obsessed with otters. They had a rhino and some giraffes, and they had a feeding section with like goats and deer and camels, and a really cranky ostrich, probably to no one's great surprise. We did make it to all but the otter keeper talk, just because we had sort of seen everything, and we really needed to go find some lunch, and we wanted to go into the little town to do that. So sadly I missed the otter talk, which I would have loved. We went into this beautiful cafe called Grumpy and Sweethearts. Oh my goodness, their food was amazing. And they had just the heaters set correctly, and I don't know, it was just beautiful. This is a like a park seat outside one of the local shopping areas. It's probably super hard to see, but it actually has written on it the husband seat, and it's been a bit of a joke. I know I've been staying at this town and visiting this town for a lot of years with friends, and I actually got to bring my husband and put him on the seat. They're my 2 boys. It was good fun. So on the Wednesday, we had a bit of a slower morning, which was lovely, and then we went on a kayak tour, and it was one where, you know, they could offer spaces for up to 18 people, but because we were traveling in the off season, we were actually the only ones on the tour. So it was just us and the guide, and he took the photos for us, so like I didn't even have to do any of that. It was beautiful. We got to sort of ride a few little waves in, and we explored some local mangroves, and we even paused and had some ginger tea and lollies underneath the canopy. It was just gorgeous. In the evening, we'd had a couple of recommendations from this guide, and also from one of the keepers, to try a local place called Sam's Pizza. They did not disappoint. It was amazing. My favorite was the Cajun prawn, and even just the margarita. Yeah, the dough and the flavors, brilliant. On the Thursday, we were actually quite tired. We'd just done so much, and we were a little bit tired and sore after a big day of kayaking. So we sort of took it easy, just did a really gentle walk up the marina and had some lunch at a restaurant. We were right next to this local river cruise, so we decided to book that in for the following day. And there's a couple of photos from here because I didn't fit on the other side. This is a meme that I came across. I can't remember where I found it. I should reference these things, but I think it was like an otter page on Facebook. Anyway, it's so funny. The word of the day: shenanigator, a person or otter who instigates shenanigans. So funny. Oh, and we went back to Sam's just to do a pickup for dessert because they had an amazing calzone. Oh my goodness, we couldn't even finish it. It was so much. So on the Friday was the day we had to check out. We did a last minute duck into Mogo, which is the town we'd visited on the Tuesday, to pick up some extra fudge. And I also found there was a craft shop that had been closed on the Tuesday, and I spent so long wandering around. Got tons of new like rub-ons and things like that, which is where all of these are from. These are all, I should have mentioned that. Like all of like these. Yeah. Anyway, there was just so much. Oh, and also I got some new ink oxides as well. Tim Holtz ones. Yeah. I heard someone talking recently about like how hard it is to get rub-ons down on especially like paper like Tomoe, and I completely agree. I've actually got a bunch of different tools here. I have tried these ones, and these ones, and these ones, and what else? I've tried like the back of tweezers, and I've tried like the edge of my ruler, like to try and do it that way. And then I've even tried like, this is a little tool I got in a screen protector box for my phone where you can kind of push it down, and I thought that might work. Nope, terrible. The only thing that works consistently, paddle pop stick. I swear by it. Every time. It's good. I don't know why the rest of them don't work. They just, yeah, I can't get it to stick down unless it's just a straight up paddle pop stick. So I keep a little collection of them. I still have these because, well, I mean, these I obviously use. I still keep these. I don't know, I just sort of feel like they should work at some stage. And every now and then I pull them out to try. These 3 tools all came with actual rub-ons. But every time, this is what I come back to. But anyway, sorry, I digress. So I got some more rub-ons at the craft shop. And then we went on the river cruise that we had booked, which was just beautiful, and it was such a nice way to end it. They're connected with the boat shed, which is where we ate on our very first night. So we got to sort of start and finish, like this is our first dinner, and then they ordered fish and chips for us to eat while we were on the cruise. And it was just so pretty. We got to go and visit a local town named Nelligan and learn a little bit of their history as well. So lovely. Before we made the drive home, which is about 2-3 hours. So we got to sleep in our own beds, and we were quite wrecked. And it looks like I haven't really written anything there. I hadn't even realised. That's too funny. I'll have to backfill that. On the Saturday, I was getting a little bit of sort of remorse around the fact that holidays were nearly over. I just enjoyed reading pretty much and taking it easy. And I hit 100 books on my holidays. So, feeling pretty good about that. So this was first week back to school for the boys. Back to work for me. We also had a national critical alert, like an Oz alert test, which people had been talking about way too much for something that was over in a couple of seconds. But anyway, still managed to give me a jolt when it came. It was quite loud. And I was trying to inspire myself to start back at work. So this is a great quote. I think I just found it online. Lighthouse humans don't stop the storm. They stop you from believing the storm is all there is. They remind you the shore still exists even when you can't see it. So I was trying to remind myself to be a lighthouse human. Tuesday, I was really struggling to get back into just, I don't know, the effort of being back into work and school rhythm. And I think after just such a beautiful week, I love these pages. It was just, yeah, I was weary. We call it see-do in our house, where you're so tired and you just like do whatever's in front of you. So, yeah. Wednesday, I tried to be a little bit more just sort of creative in my planner, and that's where I'd started putting down some stickers and paint, and in the hopes that it would be a little bit more inspiring. And then my eldest came home with a concussion. So just sort of felt a little bit like one thing after another. Work was really gentle with me, and we did have an optometrist appointment. Finding out my youngest his vision has changed significantly within a really short space, which is not a huge surprise because both my husband and my eldest had the same thing at the same age. But does mean new glasses, pricey stuff. And my husband came home with an injury. We thought it was a ligament tear, but I don't think it's a full tear because he's recovered quite well. Friday, had work, and then we just went to the mall. I had my eldest home because he was still wrestling with the concussion from Wednesday afternoon. We had the loveliest interaction with one of our neighbours. We haven't had loads to do with them. Everybody gets along, but we're a bit of a keep to yourselves kind of street. But these guys are so lovely. My boys play with a basketball on the trampoline, which frequently goes over the fence, and they're just so good about tossing it back. On this morning when we got up, they had the husband had tossed the ball back, but his partner, she had been intending to replace it because their new puppy, who is 5 months old, had gotten a hold of it. I was just really worried about the puppy having eaten something he shouldn't have, but she actually went up to the local shops and replaced it for us, which is so sweet and was honestly really unnecessary, but it gave us a chance to have a very lovely conversation. They're just so beautiful. So that is July 31st, and that is the flip through of July in my planner. So August will be coming up next for you guys, and if you have questions about anything that I have put in here in terms of, I don't know, stickers, washi, paints, anything like that that you've sort of seen that you would like to know more about, let me know. Thanks so much for joining me, and I hope you have a great August. Catch you next time.